Hello! So it is a new day and we have yet another new heroic race. This time we have a beautiful girl to help celebrate Valentine's Day. And this is the heroic race. Ooh, nice little globy background. But this is the heroic race for the High Passion Dragon. Wonderful name, by the way. But this dragon right here, she's the same as any other heroic really. But High Passion, she has Beauty Primary. She also has Chaos, which is kind of interesting for potential Masters arenas, but I do like the fact that she's just inside a heart, which is cool. But today I will go through this with you from lap 1, node 1, so that you know exactly what you will need to do in this heroic race if you're either a new player or maybe someone that's just looking to see if there's any tips and general advice that, you know, you have forgotten about or something like that. But the general rule of these heroic races are that in order to get your hands on the new High Passion Dragon, you either need to place first in your ranking lists of players. So you see we've got all these players, including a Pepe profile pic user, and we would either need to come first, or alternatively, if you have a super sweaty lobby, all that you'll have to do is get to lap 15 in this event. So you'll see that High Passion is displaying as a reward on lap 15. So as soon as you hit lap 15, you are guaranteed the heroic. And this is the method that I would normally recommend rather than banking on your opponents all being really inactive, because sometimes you'll get really inactive races, other times you'll just get super sweat races. There's like no in between. So getting to lap 15 is the only way to truly guarantee the dragon, and usually for lap 15 you've got like 5 days of leeway in terms of timers, so even if you're really busy like I tend to be, it still should be possible. And if you gem properly during the battle phases, the final battle phases, which we'll go through, this is quite a doable thing for most players at least. So on top of being able to get this dragon, there are some other rewards, including Orbs of High Passion. The only thing is, this looks to be a similar race to the High Nacrea race. So the question is, are you going to want to put in the effort to grind all the way up to High Passion Dragon 500 orbs plus the additional 200? So yeah, it's around about 5 days of leeway, but maybe in this version of the race, maybe closer to 3 days of leeway, depending on how you gem. But realistically, if you want to get the plus 500 orbs, you're probably going to be having to grind for the entire duration of these 11-day-long event. So please bear that in mind. We do have this wonderful outfit for her, the goth emo outfit as well. So if you want to get that magical girl look on her, you will have to get to lap 17 for that. But on top of that, we do also have the constellation chests that are available. So that is a new type of event item. We have insignias, which are going to be nice to pick up as well. But as of the advent of this new collection, we have the new Star-Crossed Lovers event. And so you can get these items where you can get heroic orbs for her, so the High Passion Dragon. We can also get legendary orbs, and we can get perks, phoenix perks, and potentially the collection chest at the end, which has all the orbs of High Passion as well. But you will have to collect all of the various event items, including True Love Stars, Gem Hearts, and Constellation Balls. I love some good Constellation Balls. We do also have a couple of other events ongoing right now as well, such as this Dragon TV, the big game event, which has orbs for High Star, but that is unrelated to the heroic race, and we do have new arena collection. Just so that you're aware, we can go through that in a little bit of time later. But to start with, I do want to go through the heroic race. So, lap 1, node 1, we have arguably the easiest quest of this event, which is feeding dragons. All that you need to do for this part of the event is literally just get a Terra Dragon egg. So I'll go and get a Terra Dragon egg. You'll wait for it to hatch. So that's like, what, 15 seconds? So you just sing to yourself, dance to yourself, whatever the heck you want to do for 15 seconds. We wait for him to hatch. 3, 2, 1. Then we go, we place him, then we will get the Terra Dragon egg and we will feed him up until we get all 4 of these little beetles that pop up. So you should see it quite easily, and there shouldn't be any cooldown on this first one. There we go, the first quest is done. Then we move on to the second quest, which is collecting gold. This one is also really, really easy. It's easier if you've got lots of habitats placed down. If you don't have a lot of habitats, just place down loads of Terra level 1 habitats and fill them with leveled up Terra Dragons if you need to. That'll give you an easy way of collecting gold. We've also got the Medarian Tower if you have him unlocked that you can use, but when you've got this many habitats, it's not something you have to worry about. So for me, I'm just going to collect from these habitats. We're going to get the gold symbols pop up. And about collecting the gold, if you see the gold symbol above, your chances of getting an item are much higher. So I'd recommend waiting until you see the gold symbol or until the habitat is actually full before you collect, because you seem to have a much higher chance of getting the item that way. So aside from that, that's all collected, easy clap. Now, we get the collecting food quest, which this one can be a bit of a doozy depending on which node you're on, because sometimes it'll require you to collect like 20 sets of food, and you'll see just now we're at 3 out of 4, but we're not at the full 4 out of 4, and that's because when you're collecting from your farms, you're not guaranteed an item. So what you'll want to do for this is pop in the shortest timer food, bluebell bouquets. They're 30 seconds long, they cost 50 gold, so anyone can do them. You wait 30 seconds and then you come back and you collect and you hope for an item. But when you are collecting, for the food collecting, it's only about a 10% chance that you're going to get an item. So again, even if you collect from all of your farms like I just did, you may in fact only get one item or no item if you get super unlucky. So do bear that in mind. But again, just like with the Terra Dragon Egg, we'll wait a few seconds until these are done. We hope for an item drop, because again, we're praying to RNGesus whenever we're collecting from these that we get the item that we're looking for, and they are now done. And then we collect until we get an item, which we may not even get a single one this collection. See, you're just not guaranteed it. And the other thing to bear in mind, I know that generally for the first few nodes, there's no cooldowns, but especially for this race, there are going to be nodes and wait timers, well, nodes with wait timers that you have to be aware of. So when you're going through the event, if suddenly it seems like you can't get an item, you may have actually hit your item cap limit for that time frame. So the best way to double check whether you can still collect an item is to go on, say, the Ditlep website or Deetlist when the website is actually updated and working. And once you go to the heroic race section, you'll see all of this. You'll see these are the various laps of the event. And then we'll click lap 1, and then you'll see that we've got lap 1 node 1, which we did, lap 1 node 2, which we just did, and then we've got lap 1 node 3, and it says collect food. We have number of items 4. There is a pool of 4, which means there is no wait time on this section of the node, so we can just keep collecting until we happen to get an item, and there you go. We just got unlucky last time. So now we go to lap 1 node 4, which again is feeding dragons. So then we can come back to our good old trusty Terra Dragon, and we feed him up until we get all the items that we can for now. So I normally just keep it held down until I don't see any more of the beetles popping up. He's getting to a pretty high level now, so we can sell him, and we'll pop in another Terra Dragon Egg in case we need it in a second. But then we come back to this, and you'll see that we fully cleared node 4 because there's no wait time on node 4 either. But now we get to the battles quest. And so as soon as you see the battles quest come up, click fight, select, pick your highest, bestest dragon so it will never fail the fight. We'll click auto battle, so they'll just do it without us thinking. And then we will get our first battle completed for this. But there is a cooldown on all of these battles, and you'll see that there's 3 different sets of costs on this right now. There is this 4 gem cost for gemming it there. There's a finish node cost to gem it there. And then if we enter the battle, since this is a 15-minute wait timer, it's a very cheap 2 gem skip. So the best way to do this, if you were looking to gem this first battle, which you don't really need to, but I'm just going to do it as an example, it would be cheaper to go into this battle, skip it with fight times 2, and then we go and use our sinful dragon. So whenever you are looking to skip battle time nodes, which are the cheapest and most efficient way of using your gems during this event, make sure you check which one's going to be the cheapest one, because like we could have just spent an additional 2 gems for absolutely no reason there. So just avoid that. Anyway, lap 1 we get times 20 gems. That will help us with our gemming for this. Now we are back to lap 2 node 1, and we are back to feeding again. So when we come back to hatching, we place our Terra Dragon Egg, Beamy, we feed him up. So I do love seeing hatching quests. Hatching quests are always really, really nice. They're really they're not fun, but they are incredibly easy to complete, which is why I like them. And then we'll come back, we immediately move on to lap 2 node 2, because again, there's no cooldown on that one, and we are up to collecting gold and collecting food. So rather than using Speedy and Greedy Tower for this, I think it is usually better, especially on the earlier laps, to just click it manually, because then, you know, you're not going to end up claiming from all of your habitats with gold, because otherwise we wouldn't have had any to collect from for this node, for instance. So typically I'd suggest collecting it all manually, and we will just keep redoing that until lap 2 node 2 is finished. And again, if I'm collecting from these, I'd always open up the website and just make sure that there's no wait timer on this. So I'd go down, lap 2 node 2, there is no wait timer on this, so we can complete this one straight away. Next up, we are going to get a league battle fight coming up, which I hope you have your league battles ready, and I hope that you can actually do your league battles, because being able to do your league battles is really, really important in heroic races, just to avoid any additional gemming, that sort of thing. So I do hope for your sake that you do have a league team ready and your league battles have not become too difficult at this point. So we've got one more set of food collecting to do. The league battle, one battle is going to be incredibly easy to do. We'll do that in a moment. And then we have another no cooldown lap 2 node 4 where we'll be collecting more food and we'll be doing another battle. So Ditlep allows you to see what is coming up. It allows you to pre-plan if you're, say, going to go to sleep or have a long break for some reason, like you've got to go to work or something. You can pre-plan your cooldowns using this website, which I think is a great use of these. I don't like using Ditlep for anything leak related. I don't like leaks in this game or any game in general. But if we have an active event with things going on, I don't mind using it. So anyway, I finished off that food collecting. We are back to that league battle that I spoke about. So we're going to go to league battles. We're going to do one battle. And again, make sure you have a team of dragons ready. If you can't do your league battles, I have actually created a guide on how to put together a quick league team as quickly as possible for a new player before, so you can always check that out. But league battles do scale based on your player level. Not your dragon level, your player level, but the opponents will max out at level 40 max. Level 45 starters. Those are the hardest opponents that you are ever going to come across in this game. So, as long as you have a team of dragons that can defeat any level 45 empowerment star dragons, you will be good to go with your league battles. So that one is done. We come back and then we've got this one to do. We've got our battle, so immediately start your battle cooldown timer. So again, we're going to go in with Simple. We are going to do this one. And we do have a couple of other quests that we will have to do. They just haven't come up quite yet for this one. And then we've got more food collecting to do. Yay! So I hope your farms are ready. Pre-planning for heroic races is really important, to have your foods ready, to have breeding slots ready, to have hatchery slots ready. And the breeding and hatching quests are probably going to be some of the most annoying along with the food collecting. But if you don't have all of your breeding and hatchery slots ready, the breeding and hatching quests are going to be your biggest enemy. That is assuming you can do your league battles, of course, because if you can't do your league battles, then the only way around doing your league battles is actually to gem them, and that would be very, very costly. If you have to gem all your league battles, unless you have like 1,000 gems, I wouldn't really recommend, you know, aiming for a high lap during this race, but it's up to you at the end of the day. You can spend your gems how you want. But if you want to get to, say, lap 18 free to play and get as much value out of this race as you possibly can, this is how you do it. And there is an interesting thing here where you'll see that to skip the battle, it's 2 gems. But we can skip the battle and we can skip the food collecting right now for 2 gems. So if we're going to skip the battle, we might as well just do it instantly and finish the node. So since I'm just here to show you how to do these things, normally I'd just wait the 15 minutes. I'm actually just going to skip it with 2 gems. It's weird how all the calculations for this happen, but it is a thing. So just bear that in mind. So now we have our first really annoying quest, which is breeding dragons, and we've got more feeding dragons. So I'm going to go back to our trusty Terra Dragon. We are going to feed him up a little bit more. We're going to get all of our beetles. Again, try not to feed them up too much so that you don't waste the food. There we go. It looks like we've got all the beetles that we can. I'm going to sell him. So that's put us at 8 out of 10 items. So we've come across our first cooldown pool now. And then for breeding, we have 2 breeds that we have to do. So I'm going to throw in these breeds, which are Terra Dragon breeds. And you'll see that I didn't get an item just then. The reason being that if you do Terra x Terra breeding, you are not guaranteed an item, because when you breed unempowered Terra Dragons and get a Terra Dragon egg, you have a 10% chance of getting an event item. So it's very similar to the food collecting. You're not guaranteed an item. So even if it's just 2 items that you need for the breeding, this may actually take you 30 attempts, 40 attempts before you get a single item. And it is just down to RNG at the end of the day. Do you hit that 10%, yes or no? If you do, good for you. If not, well, you're a little bit screwed over. That's just the way that it be. So all that you can do is just click rebreed, keep popping the eggs into your hatchery, selling the eggs that, you know, don't end up giving you the item that you want. Go away, stinky terror that didn't give me my event item. And you just keep redoing this over and over again. So I highly recommend putting your breeding dens next to your hatchery if you can, if you've got the possibility to do so, because again, it will make all of this super easy. I don't need to move my camera around. I can just keep rebreeding over and over and over again until I get the items that I want. I usually have a longer breed going in my other breeding island as well, and this time I actually have a long timer, so we are going to be guaranteed an item. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sell one of my Terror Dragon eggs. I'm going to go over to my other long breeding timer den, and I am going to throw this egg in. We get Rebel because I hatched her and bred her from the special breeding event island, which I was really happy about. Oh my goodness, we have Gate in there. PP Gate is available to breed. What a wonderful boy. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So she gave us a guaranteed event item because the time was over. I believe it's 8 hours. So above that sort of time limit, you are guaranteed to get an item from the breed. Below that, you are not guaranteed an item, so you'll have to do it again and again and again. So that's why we will still be sitting here rebreeding until we see that event item pop up. So it can be very annoying. Do not expect this to go well for you. It will be problematic, it will be painful, but you've just got to keep rebreeding over and over again. And it's going to be the same for the hatching quest as well. This is just for the breeding portion, but we do have hatching sections as well. So right now we are sitting at 8 out of 10 for feeding, and we are sitting at 1 out of 2 for breeding. So you can always double check where you're up to in terms of how many items do you still need, how many eggs will I need to sell so that I can keep going and doing this terror breeding. And there we go, there's the item. I don't know how many attempts that was. It was a few, but it was not too bad, so I will take it. I'll just pre-breed some eggs as well for next time. And now we come back, and the only one that we've got is feeding. And we can't get this item right now, because if we check back on the website, on node 5, the wait timer for each of these feed dragon items is 30 minutes. And so if we have 30 minutes on the cooldown, that means that for the next 30 minutes, we will not get an item. If we log in 30 minutes, we'll be able to collect one more feed dragon item, but then we'll still have another item that we have to collect. So that is what the minimum timer means on the Ditlep website. It means this is the minimum amount of time that will be required to finish this node, because the wait time for each individual item to respawn in is going to be 30 minutes, and since we need 2 items, that's 30 minutes times 2, which is an hour. So if you were someone that was really looking to push on a particular app as quickly as possible, and you didn't want to have to wait for, you know, an hour, instead you do have the option to finish the node with 2 gems. Usually I would wait for this, but just because you're here, I'm going to skip it so that we can continue. But this is what you can do to reduce the costs in this event and make as much progress as efficiently as you can with the minimum amount of resources. So if I skip that, then we move on to the next lap. We get our ×5 insignias, and then we get to move on to lap 3, node 1. And once again, we get these repeated quests. So that's collecting gold and collecting food. So again, we do more food collecting. So yes, it's a very, very, very repetitive event, and you will be doing the same collections over and over and over again. You'll get very used to it if this is, say, your first heroic race or one of your first few, because the laps will all have the same sort of quests. The only one that we haven't really seen so far is going to be that hatching quest, which is pretty much breeding quest, but instead of you having to do the breed section and the hatch section, instead you just pop the egg into the hatchery like that and you hope for an event item. But again, hatching is another 10%. So I'm sure we'll come across that quest in a moment. But I'm going to collect all of our food again. And even after 2 sets of collections, we're only at 1 out of 8 items. How sad is that? That is very sad. But, you know, it's one of those things where you just got to keep going in, we've got to keep collecting. And while this is ongoing, you can do other quests and things like that, or other events while they're ongoing. So you can always get your other daily stuff done, like, I don't know, Dragon Rescue, or you can do your Hollow, which we do have a new one, and we'll go through that in a moment. And we also, of course, have the new Divine Pass for this month, which includes the new Giga Guard Dragon, which I love Giga Guard's design personally. I think he looks like such a nice looking dragon. He kind of reminds me of an old GameCube character, and I'm not sure who I'm thinking of, but this is another guard dragon, so the skill is deals damage and reduces damage dealt to the user and allies for several turns. So it's just like the previous guard dragon that we had, Barrowguard, but this one has a different set of elements, and this guy actually has Beauty Primary, which a lot of people were not expecting. Beauty Primary and another Chaos element. So this guy is actually very similar to the current Heroic Race dragon, which means, if you think about it, you could use this dragon and you could use the Heroic Race dragon in the same arenas. Which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing since they've got the same primary, but you know, you could definitely use them in the same arena if you wanted to. I guess the benefit would be that since they're a guard dragon, well, I guess it's not going to matter as much if you've got the same element, but do bear that in mind if you do decide to purchase the Divine Pass. I think guard dragons are good, but no purchase in this game is worth it for me. But at the very least, make sure that you're collecting, you know, all of your rewards, getting your additional insignias, because there's no reason not to. So you can do all of your daily stuff. So like leveling up a dragon to level 15, we can take another Terror Dragon up to level 15 while we're doing the Heroic Race. Easy clap. We could do 2 birds, 1 stone. Very nice. The other thing is, of course, we have our monthly Divine Orbs collection. Well, pass. It's at the end of every pass, of which we got nothing, which is typical if you're free to play. Don't expect too much out of it. But I'm just re-putting in food collecting, and I probably should check if we have a cooldown on this. So lap 3 node 1, for instance. Let's go back. We've got lap 3 node 1. There is going to be no cooldown on this one. That's great. Node 2 is going to be league battles. That's great. We can do that instantly. Then we've got a battles section with no cooldown. That's not too bad. And then we have our first cooldowns coming in at lap 3 node 4. As you can see, minimum wait time of 2 hours on those ones. So lap 3 node 4 is when things start getting spicy again. So I put that in the back of my mind, and I remember lap 3 node 4 is when we need to be aware of any, you know, cooldown timers that aren't battle related. So while I'm here, I will very quickly add when you should use your booster spin, because booster spin is very random. Booster spin can either give you +1 item all the way up to skipping an entire node for you. And the best time to use these is generally, if you can't do your league battles, it would be on your league battles. If you can do your league battles like most players, then the best time to use them is on your battle nodes. Reason being that it might not be a good idea to use them straight away, but if we get to say lap 7 and we take a look, if we go to lap 7 node 2, you're going to see that on the node 2 there is a 7-hour cooldown already for battle dragons. And so rather than having to wait 7 hours to complete this node, you could instead go for your luck and go for a booster spin. So if you save up your booster spin for a good long timer like that, that will be the most efficient way to use your booster spin during the heroic races. But it's essentially for any quest that you cannot do right now that has a long timer, you can use your booster spin on that for the most efficient use. So it's any quest that you just cannot do right now that you'll have to wait a while to do if not. So if you screw up with your farm collecting and you only need a couple of items, you can also use it. But the general rule is don't put in long timers in your farms, don't put long timers in your breeding dens or hatchery to avoid that ever happening in the first place. But that is the general advice for the heroic race. So I'll keep doing it while you're here just to show you what I'm doing anyway. Come on, just give us 3 items so that we can continue. Game is not complying, but it's okay. We'll keep collecting. So in terms of the ads, I just want to double check that we do have a lot of ads to watch during this time frame. And it kind of sucks that it's the middle of the week because there is like no chance in hell that I'm going to be able to watch 90 ads per day in the middle of the week. On the weekends, it's not quite as difficult for me, but like during the week, there is no chance that this is happening. So it's kind of sucky, but if you are someone that can get through and watch all of your ads during the week, again, there will be cooldowns between each ad set, so please bear that in mind when you're watching them. But try and go for as many trophies as you can so that you can get free orbs and such from that other collection that's going on. Just might as well go for free stuff if you can. So here we go, we're at lap 3, node 2. So now we are going to go and do 2 more league battles because we've got 2 more cooldowns on our league battles. The thing is, once we've used these 2 battles, our league battles are going to go on quite a long cooldown after this. So we will have to be mindful of when the next set of league battles is coming up. But as long as you know what your cooldowns are, you can, in theory, gem your league battles so that you can get more league battles. But the further into the league battles that you are, like if you're a player like me, then it becomes very, very expensive in terms of gemming to do that. So if you really, really don't want to use your gems, you're just going to have to wait for the cooldown to go away. If not, then just gem away and instantly finish your league battles. It's really nice if you pre-plan your league battles properly. If you haven't pre-planned your league energy in advance, well, you're probably going to have a bit of a sucky time. But while I'm doing my league battles, I always do try and get at least some sort of you know, benefit out my dragons, so getting rank ups and such, because like bisexual boy here, we've needed to rank him up fully for a while now, because you know he's got a decent amount of empowerment stars. We could always take him to E5 eventually if we wanted to, but we definitely should be working on him if we can. But then again, I do auto battle a lot just so I don't even have to think, so sometimes he does die without that happening, but definitely try and get some good value out of the league battles while you're there. So now after that, we are on to lap 3, node 3. So we've got more battles to do. We throw in Sinful. We do the same song and dance as always. Go and defeat that obese Mary clone. We have the oh my goodness, it was level 69 as well. That is the true obese Mary clone right there. Man, I love it. But more food collecting to do, and since we checked it before, we know that there isn't going to be any cooldown on this one. But again, we can go back to lap 3, node 3. And we're just waiting for the battles mainly. It's the next node that's going to be the one where I'm going to sit down and wait probably, rather than gemming anything, just because it won't be worth the gem amounts. But let's keep collecting our food for now anyway, making progress on this one. But we do have the other stuff to go through today that is currently on. So we've got arena stuff, of course, going on at the moment, because because alliance stuff is just constant in this game, so we've got our stuff going in that. We do have new arena collection, which we will take a look at in a moment, and any events that are on, you can check what is currently ongoing in the news section, so it'll tell you about the big game and getting those trophies, getting your ads watched so that you can get free orbs for the high star dragon, which I've already got, but it's a nice dragon. And then we've got the Star-Crossed Lovers event, which tells you about the various events that are ongoing. So heroic race, we have grid coming up in a couple of days. We're gonna have to make a guide for that. And then we've got mazes coming up just to get the event items, to get insignias and such. So if you're ever confused about what's going on, make sure you check the news section out. It's just the news section. If you've forgotten something, it'll be there. It tells you about like Empower Happy Hours and things like that. Speaking of which, we do have a big girl coming up very soon. We've got a few E5s coming up really very shortly, so there is that. But the other thing we have, of course, is the holo. And I do want to just delve into this holo very quickly. It's not a major holo or anything. I mean, we've got Heroic Race going on, so that's the major event that's ongoing right now. But this holo has Sea Titan in it. And, I mean, since Mythicals are going up in cost soon, I guess Sea Titan will technically be impacted somewhat by that. But he is just a regular old Titan, and he will be afterwards as well. But, you know, you can try and pick him up if you want to. He's not a dragon that I'd recommend wasting a lot of gems on. He's not that great. But if you just want a free Titan to maybe try and get more dragons, because you're a collector like me, then you can give him a few gems. Maybe 50 gems is probably where I'd price him personally. I wouldn't really go too much further than that, unless you can guarantee some gems from the gem chest, which isn't a bad shout. Like, if I'm going to run into a wizard this early on this holo, I'm just going to quit out, to be honest, because the black chest isn't guaranteed to give you items either. There is a chance that it could give you a heroic, but it's not the highest chance, so I wouldn't really recommend that. Just be aware that the holo is on, give it a good shot, and see if you can, you know, get some stuff out of it. But the other thing that we do have, like I mentioned, was the arena collection, and in this you can get legendary jokers, you can get orbs for no sleep, which I think is a very cool dragon, and then of course at 25 of these totems you will get the dragon and a Reaper perk, which is a nice one to pick up. So if we jump into our arenas now, since we have the new arena, this is Juice's Test 2 that we're currently in, so we're not even in Masters at the moment since it's completely thrown us out. But at this stage, we can use like all of our main dragons. So yeah, let's throw in the big boy squad. They've got no chance. They've got absolutely no chance. The reason why I'm here at the moment is because I didn't really play the last arena like at all. Reason being that, one, I did want to get my guy empowered before the mythical update comes in. And secondly, I just could not be bothered with the arena. Yes, it does happen. You don't have to play every single event in this game to still make good progress. You really don't need to. But this opponent here, they've thrown their Revive Redemption in their first slot, which is the opposite of what you want to do. Because now that they've done this with that Revive Redemption, it means that they don't actually revive anything, which is really bad for them. Oh goodness, Bony Boy nearly died here though. Look how close we're cutting it with Bony Boy. All of these dragons with their AoE team attacks, SMH. But we will make our way through these. We'll get to Masters Arena, and then of course we will have the new, I guess, what do we call them? I've forgotten the word. We've got the new banned elements that we're going to have to deal with in specific arenas. They can be a pain to deal with, but I'm sure we'll be fine regardless. What other options do we have? Like, we've got all of our dragons here, like Your Mother, Roxy, Bowser, we've got Cinco. We have so many different options that we can go with. But especially pre-Masters, we have a very easy time, so we can chillax for a little while against all of these lovely enemies. It's always nice seeing a level 70 Boulder Dragon, for instance. And if you are a newer player and you're not sure, before you ask, no, there are no arena battles involved in the Heroic Race, so you do not have to worry about your arena while you are doing Heroic Race. League battles, yes, you will have to worry about those, but arena, you can just do it your own leisure or not do it, depending on how you feel. So don't get too worried about how you're doing in terms of the arena for your Heroic Race progress. But if you're going to ask me, is it actually worth putting in the effort and the gems and such to, you know, get the dragon out of this Heroic Race? I think every Heroic is worth it, especially if we're going to have their special quests that are going to give us free orbs for them. Because if this is, in fact, pretty much a clone of the High Nacrea race, then we have the potential to get another E5 Heroic if we save up the food, if we save up the gems, and if we play the event and get the bonus orbs. So it's definitely something to consider when you're making your way through. But I guess the only thing to note about this arena, aside from, you know, getting to Masters, is that you can get Dark Totems and you can get orbs for Ragnar and Dynamite. So free Dragon Orbs, free Arena Dragon Orbs as well. So I'm going to keep grinding this out. We're going to make progress, but this arena is going to be easy clap progress for a while now. So that's one benefit of missing one of the arenas, even though I obviously did miss the rewards from the last arena, but I was just not around to really care about it. Another 10 minutes and we can do our next battle, so collecting the food we can do whenever while we're waiting for this battle quest. One final thing I will note about the battles quest, however, is that it is cheapest to skip the final battle or any of the battles that appear with a really long timer. So if you see a battle that, like, say the third battle is a 6-hour timer, then you can skip that one, and then it'll mean that you won't be waiting so long for the rest of your battles. And so make sure that when you are opening up your battle screen, you check exactly how much time there is, and if it's a really long timer, you can just skip that singular battle for not very many gems, and that'll be an efficient use of your gemming during this race. And that's the main way how you'll be able to get through some of the later laps, because like if I show you lap 15 right now, if you've never played a Heroic Race before, you'll probably be like, how the hell do you do that? Because lap 1, node 1, we have a 2-hour 30-minute cooldown, 17-hour cooldown, 3-hour cooldown, 17-hour cooldown, 5-hour 50-minute cooldown, and then 6 hours on the other one. So it's really a 6-hour and then 15-minute cooldown. So the cheapest way to make your way through lap 15, and you will realistically have to gem if you want to make it to lap 18, then you would be skipping the longest battles in lap 15 node 2, and you'd also be skipping the longest battles in lap 15 node 4. If you save your, you know, your free skip, your free RNG spin, you could end up just skipping an entire node, which would be super handy on those laps, but you're not guaranteed for it to happen. So do bear that in mind, but try and save it up for these long timers. And then lap 16 is going to be very similar. We have a 5-hour 50 cooldown, no cooldown on that one, which is nice. Then 10 hours, 40 minutes, no minimum on that one, but 13 hours on this battle. So essentially we've got a 10-hour 40-minute battle node, followed by a 13-hour 20-minute battle node, followed by a 10-hour 40-minute battle node. But you'll notice that on this one, the node 5, there's only 3 items. Yet the cooldown is 10 hours and 40 minutes. So this is a case where just like a singular battle is going to take a very long time. So what you'd do is you'd find which of these battles is the long one and you would skip it. But man, 3 battle sets in a row is brutal on lap 16. It gets crazy on the later laps, but you know, to guarantee the heroic, you'll at least want to make it to lap 15. So just as an example, you'd have to finish off lap 14, which there's no cooldown, 21-hour cooldown, so be mindful of that, 7-hour cooldown, 21-hour cooldown, 8-hour 20-minute cooldown with 14 breeds to do. So it's going to be a very painful one there, but you know, make sure you have the website open, make sure you are very, very aware of those battles and which ones you should be skipping. It is just any battles that have above like hour-long timers. You might run into a battle that has a 7-hour timer, an 8-hour timer, a 10-hour timer. Those are the ones that you're going to be wanting to skip later on. But in the first few days, you can definitely make really good progress, at least maybe get to lap 7 possibly. But at the same time, that is how you do these races. So I do wish you the very best of luck. I hope that you get an easy race, even if you are going to get to lap 15, because, you know, it's just easier that you don't have the added pressure sometimes. But lap 15 will guarantee the dragon. If not, you got to come first. So best of luck with that. So I think that's mainly everything that I wanted to mention for today. Of course, we do have Mythical Update coming soon, but right now I'd say focus on the heroic race, focus on the currently ongoing events and collections, and I hope that we get to open up some more of these collection things soon, like the Corrupted Insignias. We're coming up to that guaranteed Corrupted Dragon, so I hope we get a new one actually, rather than getting the same one just because I like more dragons. But there's a lot of events going on, so if you're confused about anything, let me know and I'll try and help you out. But for now, good luck, keep making progress in your events. I'm going to keep grinding out these food collections because they are just not being my friend right now. But until next time, ciao.